The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and to all our affiliates who are joining us at this time on the Talkstar Radio Network, welcome one and all. This is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern on the Talkstar Radio Network and our fine family of broadcast affiliates across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, 20 Asian countries, and now across Europe. Our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. That's toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii. My email address is xzone@talkstarradio.com. On MSN Messenger, talkstarradio@hotmail.com. And our websites, www.xzoneradio.com and www.xzonetv.com. My guest this hour is William Constantine. Born an Indigo Child of the star evolution, William has ascended into the ninth dimension of consciousness, which is also considered full Christ consciousness. He continues to raise his vibration and conscious level, aiming for the 13th dimension, which is universal consciousness. William has survived a life fraught with every possible personal challenge available to human experience, the foster care system, enduring a 2.5-year molestation, the tragic loss of his grandparents, the loss of his birth mother to AIDS, being homeless for a duration more than once, divorce, separation, and so much more. All of this by the age of 26. William is far from throwing himself a pity party. Instead, he seems to be empowered by these experiences and devotes his life to sharing his message of love and healing to the world. With his message of unity, we are all one. There is nothing that separates us except whatever illusion we choose to create. We are all God, and thus we are all love. Love is all there is. Anything else is an illusion. And William Constantine, welcome to the show. Nice having you back with us, William. How are you?
Thank you, Rob. Thanks for having me.
William, you believe that 2012 marks the end of the world according to the Mayans. Now, what do you think the meaning of 2012 is?
Well, I actually believe that 2012 marks the end of the world as kind of we know it, and it's more marking a shift of consciousness, where human evolution is evolving into a higher level. And actually, if you get into 2012, it's really about Mayan lore and mythology about their this game in the sky, so to speak, that's really basically what it's signifying is this rebirth, like the rebirth of Earth and humanity and so on and so forth. And that's pretty much that in combination with the Star Children, which we'll get into a little bit later. But with them being born, it's kind of all shifting us towards this change of 2012. And I think if you stop and you look back, you could see how everybody now all of a sudden now we have this go green evolution like movement that's kind of happening, where everybody's now becoming earth conscious, and you're starting to see people become more aware and more earth-friendly vehicles, with the hybrids coming out, and you have a lot of other things kind of growing, and people are turning more into we'll say, the new
William,
age.
stand by. You and I have to take a commercial break. William Constantine is our special guest, and William and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best.
Hi, this is Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout, here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. I would like to invite all of our listeners to the second annual Para-Unity Conference, January 27th through the 29th in Fellsmere, Florida. We have some exciting speakers, including Brian Cano from The Haunted Collector, author Andrea Perrin, whose book inspired the hit movie The Conjuring, and our own Rob McConnell. There are events for the public as well as opportunities for paranormal teams to come together to share information. We also have opportunities for our guests to participate in some investigations of Fellsmere's most haunted locations. Check out my website at www.paranormalstakeout.com or www.paranormalfbi.com for times and details. Hope to see you there.
Are you interested in the paranormal, ghosts, UFOs, or psychic phenomenon? Join me, Tim Bartley, co-host of Talking to Spirits with Lightworkers Tim and Justina, coming mid-January 2017 to the XZBN. We will channel spirits live and talk to them, revealing all kinds of amazing information. Spiritual attachments will be found and removed on the show, and so much more. To find out when you can listen to Talking to Spirits with Lightworkers Tim and Justina, visit www.xzbn.net for listeners on both sides of the veil.
William Constantine is our special guest, www.williamconstantine.com. And when I was reading your intro, William, you said that we are all one. How can you explain this?
Basically that, we're all interconnected, and if you stop and you think that we all are individual gods, which are brought together by the universal consciousness, that there is no separation between you and I. There really is no time and space where I end and say Rob McConnell begins. We kind of that's all like an illusion to support the sort of the ego aspect of wanting to be different, because if we're different, then we kind of can rise above everybody else and put ourselves on a pedestal, rather than all understand from the universal standpoint that we're all one and we're all interconnected. And whether from you to a fly to a to an animal in the sea, we're all one being. Really, there's only one of us on the planet. So if you go from that level, and I know it's difficult to really understand, because a lot of people say, well, I walk through the mall and there's several people there. Like, how can we all be one? And if you really stop, I do workshops where I put people who I let cliques kind of form in a natural sort of way. And so after they have formed, then I diversify everybody and split them all up and put them into different groups where they're intermingling with people that they wouldn't ordinarily intermingle with, and they really find out that there is really no difference between them, and that it's all their stereotypes, and this thinking that society kind of has us doing within our heads, because you're already judging people. Just if you pass by somebody, you're constantly passing judgment on them, whether you don't like something that they're wearing, whether it's their perfume, the way they look, even the way they smell, so you're constantly passing this judgment. And if you get beyond that point and you rise above that and you realize that there really is no difference between you and I, there is no difference between us and, say, the Middle Eastern people that right now we decide to be fighting, I think that wars would end and people would really have nothing to really argue about if we all can reach this level of consciousness of unity and the fact that there is no separation between us all.
Couldn't agree with you more. Can you briefly tell us about the Star Children and what their purpose is?
Sure. The Star Children, they're an evolution of which I'm one. You have your Indigos, which are really like the trailblazers. They kind of come through and challenge anything that kind of lacks integrity. So whether it's a government system, a legal system, a school system, just a person, that they feel maybe lacks integrity, and they feel, maybe a system is in place because, as a society, we like to place forth systems that no longer serve us or never really served the purpose in the first place. So the Indigos kind of challenge this and then kind of knock that down and wipe that clean. And then you have your Crystal Children who come in, and they're really all about kind of love and compassion and healing, because they come born of Christ consciousness or universal consciousness, which is the Rainbow Children. They come next. And your crystals, they basically are really there to help people realize, one, that we're all one, and two, that everybody is a loving being, and that we're all able to work collectively together and create and usher in this new earth, so to speak. And each level of these children's, they come in at a different level of vibration. The highest, is obviously the 13th, which is the universal consciousness, and that's what Rainbow Children are born at. Like, they just have an instant knowing of pretty much how the universe works, how the law of attraction works, how everything else works. And a lot of these children are being falsely diagnosed because they start their life really doing telepathic communication, so they don't actually verbally communicate until later on in life, and so they get diagnosed as being autistic and has Asperger's and things of this nature. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not to say that some of these I don't want to say illnesses, but some of these
diagnosis.
Yes, some of these diagnoses don't really exist. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that I think the medical standpoint of things is automatically really quick to diagnose things that they don't really understand. Rather, I mean, you're never going to get a doctor to say, yeah, I think this person is highly sensitive or, highly psychic. Mm-hmm. I really don't think that we're going to get to that point anytime in the near future, unless there's another breed of doctors that are coming out. But these children are really here to pretty much bring in the new earth, or kind of like bring in utopia, and hence the shift of consciousness. That's really what we're all about, is shifting consciousness and making everybody aware that regardless of what religion that you follow, that's fine. But you don't necessarily have to be religious to be a spiritual person and to be in touch with the universe. It's not against any religion to use the law of attraction.
How long have these indigo children been coming to this planet, and where do they come from?
The indigo children are well, basically, I mean, they come from, it's really their first time around Earth, and they come from what people call the stars, or the heavens. That's hence the title of the evolution is the star children. So that's pretty much where they come from. So they're pretty much higher beings, kind of sent down to usher in this newer evolution for humanity, because we've screwed it up so bad. So I think that's really their purpose. They come from the cosmos, basically, and we're really here to just help usher in this new line of thinking, and really help to revamp humanity's thoughts and the way society works.
Now, whose decision was it to send the indigo children at this specific time in our planet's evolution?
God. I think that if you go back, I think it's very important to realize that religion, modernized religion, separates us from God. And the indigo and the star children evolution is saying, no, that's not right, that we're all connected to God, and that we all are gods, and we're all able to create the life that we want to live. And I'm not just talking about the law of attraction and saying, because first you obviously have to follow that up with thought. Nobody's just going to sit on their couch and say they want $1 million and it's just going to fall from the heavens.
Of course, exactly.
So, I mean, The Secret is a great movie and it's a great concept, but you have to follow it up with action. And it's not, you have to phrase things, and there, when we think things, there's this underlying thought that always happens. So if you're not really coming from a place of love and belief in yourself that you're at this place already, then the law of attraction isn't going to help you. Because then you have this underlying sub-thought saying that you're not really there and that you're desiring to get that. And so that's what the universe is going to respond on. God and the universe pretty much only say yes. So if you say, that you need something or that you're lacking of something, it's just going to pretty much agree with you. And then you also have, what you resist persists, which is basically saying that anything that you don't want to experience, you're basically causing yourself to experience that by not wanting to experience. Understand?
Plus, another good example would be that, since God created us in His own image, then if God created us in His image, then we are in the image of God, which means that we are gods ourselves. Yeah.
But see, a lot of people don't rationalize it that way, and they think it's, blasphemous to think that we can call ourselves gods. But, if you take Jesus Christ, who was probably the biggest leading metaphysical practitioner there ever was. I mean, he practiced alchemy by turning water into wine. Mm-hmm. He resurrected the dead. He communicated with angels and a direct link to God, which if anybody truly follows Christ, then how come the world is so screwed up as it is now?
Oh, that's the $1 million question, my young friend.
Like if nobody really... organized religion is just that, organized religion. It's just as bad as organized crime. Only with even less of a purpose. There's the fact of the matter that the Bible was written 100 years after Christ died, and nowhere in the Bible does it say that he was followed around by a reporter. But King James Version of the Bible says that everything in red is exactly what Jesus Christ said. So
all right,
is
please.
it a channeling of Christ, or is it, or is it something else?
All right, stand by, William. You and I have to take our news at the bottom of the hour. X-Zone Nation, if you'd like to give us a call and speak to our special guest this hour, William Constantine. Our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. 8255. Still to come on tonight's show, Ralph Ellis will be joining me in the final hour of this broadcast. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, and we'll be back on the other side of this news break right here on the top.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
We all desire health, happiness, and fulfillment, but often get in our own way. Repeated patterns that leave us out of control can keep us feeling powerless, frustrated, and unable to move forward in spite of our best efforts. Unconscious patterning disconnects us from our gifts, often destroying the very thing we seek. But there is an answer. We can take charge of our destiny and heal the trauma of our history. Shamanism is an effective ancient modality that can reconnect us with our true selves, empower the creation of our dreams, and return us to health and balance. Cody Alexander is a certified shamanic practitioner and teacher with 11 years' experience. Email healingpathways33@gmail.com or visit codyalexander.net to schedule a long-distance shamanic session today.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and this portion of the X Zone is being brought to you by Dita Wegman. She is the author of Nostradamus Dream Interpretation Guide, Real Dreams Predicting Your Tomorrow, The Power of the Stars, How They Move Us Humans. Visit her website at www.nostradamusdreams.com. Our special guest this hour is William Constantine, and William, always great having you here on the X Zone. Now, what are the different degrees of consciousness? I now, according to your bio, you are now in the what degree of consciousness are you in? The ninth.
Yeah, which is Christ consciousness. You know, everybody is really born in the third and fourth level of consciousness, except for the star children, which you know they just kind of happen to come a little bit more ascended and tapped into higher levels. So there's 13 degrees. You know, you have your basic people, which are most of us walking through life in this third dimensional level of consciousness, and we're kind of stuck in this thought process. And really the whole purpose of the star children is to help us ascend to higher levels of consciousness. Because if we're all at Christ consciousness or we're all at universal consciousness, imagine what a better world we'd actually be living in if we actually all understood the law of one and all understood how interconnected we were. You know, how all that other stuff would kind of fall to the wayside. So then you have your you kind of ascend through that to the ninth level. That's like pretty much the next the next big jump, which is Christ consciousness. And then after Christ consciousness, the final jump that you have is the 13th level of consciousness, which is universal consciousness, and that's pretty much what the rainbow children kind of come in being born at. And then obviously there's different levels that it's just kind of like spiritual upgrades that you're constantly kind of going through. And the star children also help by raising the vibration of pretty much the world and allowing other people to ascend into these higher levels of consciousness. So by our presence kind of being here, it's enabling other people to reach these higher levels of consciousness, which may not have been possible if it weren't for, your indigos, your crystals, and your rainbow and whatever comes afterwards.
How can someone listening know if they're an indigo child or a crystal child or a rainbow child?
Well, I think that the key sides of things is really, if you're an indigo child, pretty much you've always had this warrior-like spirit, and you constantly challenge things, and you have this kind of built-in lie detector, to where you kind of just know if somebody's BSing you or not, and when you're being patronized, and when somebody's just trying to like pull the wool over your eyes, or manipulate you. So indigos pretty much that's their type of mentality. Crystal children, they're really quick to forgive. Some of the crystals are now just reaching into like younger adulthoods, like into their 20s and stuff. Even though we still call them children, because some are still being born. Indigos have been around. Oh wow. I think the first big wave actually happened like around the 1970s, 1980s, and then. But that's not to say that there weren't indigos before that.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of helped evolve things as it goes. So the crystals, they're really quick to forgive. They have a little bit of a temper, but it pretty much just goes. It falls like they're just really loving, and they really they get over things really quickly. So if you're one of those people who might have a blow up or an argument with somebody, and then at the end you pretty much wash your hands of it. Not a lot of people are like that. So if you're like that, odds are you're of the crystal vibration. And the rainbow children, they're pretty much just being born now. So I would just pay attention to your younger kids being born and how they're interacting with things. And I'm a big advocate of asking your child questions, even at a young age. And I never believed in, talking down to a baby or this baby talk that parents kind of do to their children. I always talked to my child just like one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
And I never dumbed down my language or anything. So I think that's really what parents need to do, because with this new evolution of children being born, the parents need to be ascended as well, so that they can nurture and care for these children, and really understand that if there's nothing really wrong with how your child's communicating with you, aside from what medical gurus say nowadays, is there really a reason to medicate these children? And if there's really no harm to the child, if they're delayed in talking a little bit later in life, then what's the harm? If they're able to communicate to you and you're able to understand them, then what's the problem? And a lot of these children communicate telepathically with their parents. I mean, I've read situations and even met a few situations where the parents would have these kind of thinking contests with the children, and the children would know when the parents wanted them, and they'd just come into the room, And I think we've all had similar instances when we were children, and you might have thought that your mom or your dad called you, and you run into the other room, and you're like, "Hey, did you call me?" And they were like, "No, but while you're here, let's let's do this." And the thing is they thought about you, at that point, and you just picked up telepathically. See, there's nothing every last one of us is psychic, and able to communicate telepathically, and we do on a subconscious level, and we're not really aware of it. And so the point of the indigo and the crystal and the star children evolution is not only to bring you into awareness, but also to let you know that you do have these experiences, and the moment you admit that you have these experiences, then you suddenly start to recognize them and recognize that you're experiencing them on a lot more frequent basis than what you originally thought.
1-877-528-8255 is toll free. William Constantine is our very special guest. And William, just like to go back, we were talking about Jesus, and he was being an alchemist, and because he could turn water into wine. Would you say that Jesus was psychic?
Yes. I would, because I believe that, just 2 seconds ago I said that we're all psychic.
Yes.
So, and I think that as a follower of I'm not a follower of organized religion, but I work with Christ on an ascended master basis, because that's pretty much what he is. And there's a lot of things that Christ did. He predicted things in the Bible, but we tend to pass that off. Where was that in the Bible where he said that you shall deny me 3 times?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's constantly making prophecies throughout the Bible. There's the fact that he is like a big metaphysician as far as the way that he practiced alchemy, the way that he had a direct connection with God, and he was already aware that pretty much we were all one, and that we had the innate power to heal, and that when we act from love, that we can transform not only ourselves but the lives of the others that we touch. And I think at that point you have to realize that nobody at this point is actually following Christ, the Christ that is portrayed in the Bible, and the Christ that I know as an ascended master, which is far greater than what's actually portrayed in the Bible.
As an ascended master, how are you classified as an ascended master? Who categorizes these titles?
I'm not an ascended master. Christ is an ascended master. See, you have these beings that kind of do-gooders that, like Mother Teresa is now an ascended master. So now you have like these people who really were kind of like gurus at the time that they were living,
mm-hmm.
And now they've gone over to the other side, and their teachings have even expanded even more and into higher levels of dimensional of thinking. So what they do is they communicate to people on a regular basis, and they put forth this kind of information from a higher level of thought. So yep, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you, because you are you're considered to be on the same conscious level as Christ, the full Christ consciousness. So does this mean that you are on the same spiritual, consciousness level that Christ was?
Yes. This Christ consciousness basically means that you have the same the same knowing that Christ had when he was alive. So the knowing that everybody is one, and the knowing that acting from love and not from ego or anything that society, because from the moment we're born,
mm-hmm.
society is filling our heads with negative thought and negative images of not only ourselves, but they put limits on us. And the moment you start limiting your potential is really the only you can only become as good as what you limit yourself to be. So, and you can't rise above that. So the moment you start capping off your potential, you can't rise above that. So now you've just limited yourself and you're a being of unlimited potential. Look at all the stuff that Christ did when he was here. And look at if we act from a place of love and we teach people that, we all have a message within us and that we all need to share this message. I mean, look at the stuff that you're doing, just by bringing the radio show I'm sure it didn't start off, as many countries as you're at now.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
So, and now all of a sudden it's become this mass production, and you're bringing your message and your word and also the messages of your guests and stuff to a global audience. So I think that, the kudos should be given to you for even attempting to do something like this, because for a lot of people, the thought that there's life on other planets and stuff like this, that's all fabricated, But there was a time and place where people didn't believe that angel communication existed. But look how popular it is now.
Big time, and more people are having angelic experiences and encounters.
Yep, absolutely, and that's the thing. And so it's like, if you have to understand that how egotistical of us and naive of us to think that we're the only existence of life.
What about the fairies, for example? They've been around for, children read about them in their school books. They're in fiction. They're in movies. What were fairies? I think that first off, I'd have to say that I believe that fairies exist. So, because you have to stop and think that I think that fairies are going to be the next big level of angels. You see what I'm saying? Like, people are now all of a sudden, like you're saying, they're starting to come into the consciousness. Yeah. And you're starting to recognize more and more things, and now you have fairy tarot decks and all this other stuff, and there's even fairy Wicca, like a certain magic that is practiced, to help connect you with the fairies. And the fairies are really, some of them, they just don't like to be seen. You see, and so that's what's always reflected in these, in your fairy tales. Is that if you see a fairy, then some people go blind, some people, experience loss of memory, all this other stuff. And so when you get to this point of really opening your awareness and recognizing that there's a world parallel and within the universe that we're operating in, and that society has really put on these dark shades of blindness. William, we've got to take a commercial break. William Constantine is our special guest, and this portion of the X-Zone is being brought to you by Secrets of Cat Attitude Revealed by Carolyn Bartz. Visit her website at www.secretsofcatattitudereveal. It's a perfect book. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. We'll be back on the other side as we continue live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
19th Sergeant Central. 19th Sergeant, check. Officers on the scene.
Hi, I'm Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout. With over 36 years in law enforcement, I have learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, how we gather the evidence, preserve that evidence, and present it to a jury of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Join me, Larry Lawson, every week on Paranormal Stakeout when, along with my guests, we'll take a journey to prove with indisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Go to xzbn.net for the broadcast schedule and check me out at paranormalstakeout.com.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. This portion of the X Zone is being brought to you by Karen Bentley's Sugar-Free Miracle. How to beat the sweets and back the fat and be skinny ever after. Visit Karen's website at www.sugarfreemiracle.com. That's Karen Bentley Sugar-Free Miracle, www.sugarfreemiracle.com. First of all, William, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's always great having you on the show. And I was wondering if you could tell us about your upcoming appearance at the Haunted Hotel San Carlos in Phoenix, Arizona, where you're going to be doing lectures, gallery readings, and taking part in 2 haunting investigations.
Yes, actually, it's going to be, I believe, the weekend of the 26th or the 27th of September. And Past Paranormal is going to bring me down there pretty much. There's Dr. Turi's also going to be there. Who's a leading astrologer. I don't know if you've ever had Dr. Turi on your show. I know.
Yes, I have, yeah.
So he's going to be there. There's Shannon Silva of Ghost Hunters International. She's going to be there. So we're going to pretty much be talking about ghost hunting, like what to really expect from the paranormal when you at least that aspect of it. I'm going to be doing gallery readings, which is basically me connecting with the other side, and then as well as taking part in haunting investigations. There's going to be times for autographs and stuff. I'll have copies of TAP's Paranormal Magazine, which I write my syndicated column in, and I'll be signing that as well as pictures and all this other stuff that we're going to be doing. So it's really going to be a good thing. The San Carlos has supposedly been haunted by Marilyn Monroe and Mae West and all these other, fancy people. So I'm kind of excited to be a part of it, to just see if I can, get a glimpse or see if, because you have your paranormal investigators and then you have your sensitives and your psychics that walk into a place and say, yeah, this isn't really as big as what it's supposed to be.
And then you've got your nut bars, yeah.
Yeah, and then, and the other thing is, though, what I wanted to say before we close out,
we've got about 10 seconds,
is really about that you can't just, if you're a believer in the paranormal, you have to accept all aspects of the paranormal. You can't really get selective. You can't say, well, I believe in ghosts, but I don't believe in UFOs. I think that you have to really kind of encompass everything between angels and your ascended masters and fairies and UFOs and anything else, any other type of phenomenon that happens. I think that you need, if you're going to accept it, you can't really be a nitpicker.
William, take care of yourself. We've run out of time. William Constantine, www.williamconstantine.com. When I come back from the news at the top of the hour at 6.5 minutes past, Ralph Alice will be joining me. We're going to be talking about ancient times, ancient mysteries, and much more. 1-877-528-8255 is toll-free. My name is Rob McConnell, and this is the X Zone, heard around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network.